You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yep.
Miss Beverly Bond.
Hey.
Good morning, Miss Bond.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Congratulations on your new book, Black Girls Rock.
Owning our magic, rocking our truth.
I need that for the house. Got to put that on the coffee table so my daughter can walk by and see that.
Absolutely.
It is beautiful. What I love about it is the variety of different women that you have in the book, because it's not all celebrities and people that are well known so much, but it's different women from behind the scenes that I learned a lot about.
Nice. Yeah, I purposely did that.
Into the mic.
I purposely did that. I wanted to make sure that we, the whole platform of Black Girls Rock is to elevate our narratives and to also educate people about women who are making amazing contributions who you may not know. So,
Tell us about the book a little bit.
well, the book is about
It's beautiful.
It's about 60 women. It took about 2 years of my life to do this book. I had to interview a lot of women and then turn it into first-person narrative. And I think all of the women's stories are you will get inspiration from, whether it's their triumphs, their struggles, their accomplishments, their beauty. You will just be inspired by every one of these women and their stories.
Reputation, representation, I definitely believe matters.
Yes.
Because like my daughter's 9, and I notice her gravitating towards certain women that she sees on television, whether it's the way they wear their hair or what they're doing. She's asking a lot of questions. So that's why I like to have books like that lying around so she can just see these positive images of herself, basically.
And now, how old's your daughter?
9.
9. Okay, so she's coming up in a time where we are actually seeing a shift, right? But, when I started Black Girls Rock in 2006, this was not the case. You did not see Black women's presence in the way that you're seeing it now in this abundance. You didn't see it. You didn't see our
You
story.
did. They just was on Flavor of Love.
Well, it was very limited.
Yeah.
It was very narrow. It was very stereotyped, objectified, dehumanized, degrading, and or absent. And so that's been the whole mission from the time. So the book is actually just an extension of all of the same work.
Whose story was most surprising or inspiring, I should say?
I don't know who was more. I don't know if there was any surprise. I think Misty Copeland's.
I love Misty Copeland.
I love Misty Copeland, and I think she's so reserved, and she doesn't. She's very humble, but her story runs deep, right? And I don't think I was surprised by what she revealed in the interview, but when I went back and read her book, it was really, if you go read Misty Copeland's book, you're going to be like, wow, this girl went through some things to get to where she is, and you can see that she is really authentically who she is. And sometimes what happens when people see you on high platforms, they don't know what that process was to get there, and they never believe that you had that struggle to get there. So I think that was just a surprising element, I think, for me.
I was having an interesting conversation the other day because I was doing an interview and they were asking me in this interview about women along the way who have helped me. And people have helped me, but I realized until now, being here at Power, I've never had a woman who was like my boss, ever. This is the first time everybody that I've ever worked for in my entire life has always been men. And so this is the first time Thea Mitchum, she's our, program director. And I was like, I never thought about that. I was like, that's amazing that it's taken all this time in my career to finally, and when we first started here, she wasn't here yet.
Right.
But I'm like, it's just a different experience to work with. And people have this stigma too. I remember when Thea was first coming, they were like, you think it's going to be hard to work with a woman?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, why? I was actually really excited about it because it's a first for me.
Right. And
That's crazy because all my jobs I've worked for pretty much nothing but women. When I was at Hot, it was Tracy. When I was doing MTV, it was Candida. Like mostly women are the ones that have been my boss, and I enjoy it.
At home is Gia.
Yeah, home is my wife.
I think you're starting to see this kind of revolution, so to speak, with women, moving forward and kind of like speaking up about all kinds of things that people take for granted, but women have been experiencing, just like Black people, things that we've been experiencing that other people don't understand why. Like even with Black Girls Rock, there was always that question of like, why all girls rock, and that all lives matter and that all, and so I think what happens, they live in their own space and didn't even realize that there needed to be a space like this. So
What do you think contributed to the rise of women of color, especially like over the last year?
I mean, I think that definitely. I think all of the people who have been outspoken about it, and I certainly think that Black Girls Rock has been a spark in this paradigm shift, because we've been doing it for a minute, and it was the mission in the first place. The mission was to do exactly what's happening right now. So this abundance of Black girl magic that you're seeing is definitely linked to our work, but also, you know, everyone else who has tried to raise and elevate our platforms. And it's just a matter of, you know, it was. I think that Black Girls Rock may have been a tipping point, you know, to change the game. So, and it may be because of, you know, my particular angle, being in entertainment, being a DJ, being, you know, part of the cultural curators that we are, helping to actually put this voice into the conversation.
Now, does the book have more than just like entertainers and athletes? Because I think that's another element that I think should be
Oh yeah,
focused on.
we just talked
Absolutely,
Okay.
my brother.
Thank you very much. All right.
That's how
Absolutely.
you'll see
I
people
mean,
in there that you're like, how come I don't know who this person is?
Yeah,
until-
or even people that you know you don't you it's just a great variety of women, you know, from our Boss Up chapter to our Young Gifted and Black chapter to our Black Girl Magic chapter, to our Still I Rise chapters. You know, it's just women from all walks of life
technology.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
see
it's
Kathy Hughes in here.
yeah, Kathy's in there.
What was the
it's-
most challenging writing this book?
The challenging part is getting it, the timing, the deadline. You know, it took 2 years. It was supposed to be 1 year. Writing people's first person narrative and making sure that you're true to their words from the interview. I think it has challenged me more than even producing the award show. I think it's been some of the most challenging work that I've had to face.
Really?
But it's great because, you know, I came through on the other side now. I'm like, yes.
And
I
look,
did
a
this.
book like this is not cheap to make, okay? Let me tell you something. When you
Yeah.
see this book with the beautiful pictures inside and the size of it and the quality of it, I'm
Yeah.
sure this book was like,
Yeah, and I think the beautiful thing too is, like, you know, producing a book. You know, my publisher Dawn, she allowed me to just take the canvas and do what I wanted to do. There was no restriction. You know what I mean? So she didn't say, "Oh no, you can't have an April Holmes who people don't necessarily know as a household name. You can't have her in the book." You know what I mean? She just said, "Okay, do what you do." And I always equate this to the way I spend. Like, I mix a lot of different genres and generations, and I put it together and I make it all make sense and take people on a musical journey. And I think that's how I did this book. I think I DJ'd this book.
But that's how people learn, though. When you learn about somebody that you never knew about, like you read about April Holmes, you're like, oh, and you see what she does, and then you get a spark, like, oh,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what you need.
I mean, I think it's like certainly even on the award show, you know, I think us helping to elevate Ibtihaj Muhammad's narrative and elevate her on our show, you know, right after that, Mattel approached her and did a Barbie for her.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like this is the idea, is that you put that out there, and then other people will see it, and then they continue to uplift this narrative, you know.
Do you know Marie Brockett-Kill?
Mara,
Mara, I'm sorry.
Mara.
that is my BFF.
Could you get her on the Breakfast Club? I got beef with her.
Yeah, I could try.
got-
I mean,
His
no, wait.
girlfriend- his girlfriend's beef again.
Yes, that's all
Yeah,
it
beef
is.
over
I
girlfriends.
want closure.
Okay, you know what? You and I both, and I have been doing the same thing. I'm like, can we have the movie?
That's it.
Can we have the
That's
movie?
it.
You
Mara.
girls need to go to lunch and talk about
All I'm
this.
saying,
Yes.
1 2-hour movie on Netflix, we good. Just give us some closure.
Okay, so you're helping me in my cause.
Yes.
This is exactly what I want. Yes.
Yes.
That's her right there.
Oh, I never seen her before. This over there, right there?
That's her.
Oh, wow.
Now let's talk about your experience with education personally growing up, because you also talk about schooling and going to schools that are predominantly white, and then going to a black school and everything.
What school did you go to?
I went to a lot of schools. That's the whole point. I moved. When I talk about in this book is that we moved a lot, right? And so my unique experience, and from my lens, was to experiencing this blackness in different spaces. So going to all black schools, going to all white schools, going to mixed schools, and just seeing kind of how we were received as black people in all of these different spaces.
And in particular, black women.
Yeah, and in particular, black women. And so I think that also helped me to kind of see for one, I think that when you're a loner, when you were always the new kid, you're kind of on the outsider, right?
Right, mhm.
But I think that the benefit of that, and this is what other people say too, is that it makes you kind of an independent thinker. So you can see a little bit more. You can see the whole landscape. And I think that from seeing that and always seeing how Black girls were received in all of these different spaces, it put that in my consciousness early, you know. And so I try to explain that because I want people to, you know, when I was writing my chapter, I wrote it last, and I think that everyone thought I was going to write about how I started the award show, but what I wanted people to do is get an insight to kind of how I thought, how I came to think and see, because people are always like, how did you start, you know, this movement? Like, how did you start this thing? And I'm like, you know, it was really a passion, a mission, and a vision, but it all started from that, the moving around. It all started from seeing my mother, and my mother taking all of those things, like the culture, the music, you know what I mean, the knowledge that she had to empower me, not so much with material things, but with intrinsic values, right? And then also making sure that I understood that our Black girl flavor came in all colors, in all ranges, and that there was nothing about us that was less than.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that the combination of that and moving around gave me a very unique lens to be able to get to this thing.
What did you enjoy more? What did you think was more impactful? Because you said you went to different schools, mixed schools, white schools, Black schools. What did you get the more impact?
Well, when you read the book, and
I didn't get it.
I'm definitely reading this today.
But what I talked about was
Actually,
that
they did send us all a copy of the book.
yeah.
I ain't never seen this book the other day. I'm being honest with you.
No, they did. You had one too. It was in a nice, beautiful pink packaging.
Everyone
had one. Yeah, everybody definitely got a copy.
Where somebody stole mine then, because I didn't get one.
All right, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I was talking about, I think all of those experiences allowed me to see that, like, so for example, going to the white schools, seeing the few Black people that were there having to kind of mask their authenticity, their Blackness, their opinions, their politics, and then going into all Black schools, seeing, you know, us still having to deal with things that were passed down to us, like colorism, and women, especially in girls, being judged by everyone based on, you know, the shade of our color, but also watching this kind of magic happen when we were all together.
Correct.
You know, and so I think that was the thing I got most out of it.
Did you go to private or public schools?
I went to both.
That's what I'm in the midst of right now. Like, my daughter goes to a private school, but she's like the only Black girl in the class. I'm like, we can't do this no more.
You know, it's funny because we get a lot of girls in our programs that's kind of a byproduct of something that we didn't expect. We also have mentoring programs, and we get a lot of girls that come in and they are in isolation. And so they come into this space of Black Girls Rock or Black Girls Lead, our programs, and they have found their tribe. They've found these other girls that are like them, that want to embrace their Blackness fully, but don't feel comfortable in the spaces that they are. So I think that you can supplement that with like programs like ours, or
Right.
you know, I mean, I can tell you, like, even Lord Jamar, for example, his daughter's in our program, and you know, when he called, it was like
That might be a little too much for my daughter.
no. But what I'm saying is that she was in isolation, and it was like shocking to me because, you know, when I got the calls, and I got the calls from a lot of people, and I'm thinking people want me to DJ. I was like, oh, you know, they want me to DJ something. He's like, no, I need my daughter in your program because she's in isolation, you know, and she's out here by herself. She's the only Black girl. And,
That's what I asked, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm similar to Charlamagne, where she's the only one.
Yeah.
And, you know, when she was younger, it didn't necessarily bother her. But I think with the whole Trump era, it's more where she sees it more. She understands it more. She sees racism.
Right.
Same here.
And now she's in a place where it's like, I don't want her to feel away. I want her to love and respect who she is. You know?
Right.
I'm just trying to prevent it from happening. Because
Well, I
when you
think-
drive through your neighborhood, you see all the
Yeah.
Trump signs and you see all the white
Right.
people, and you're like, it's only a matter of time.
Well, I think that
Or for
that's why
somebody
you
to
have
say
to,
nigga.
Yeah.
and I think you have to supplement it. I think that, you know, sometimes it's not so easy to just take her out of the school and put her somewhere else,
Yes,
but
it
you have to
is.
figure out programs.
Get your ass out the school.
Or
We going
maybe-
another way.
I had a meeting yesterday.
You know, it's interesting because the way I grew up in Brooklyn and Flatbush, right? And I went to public school until I was in 6th grade, so I didn't even know anybody white except for a couple of my teachers. But then I went to private school in Brooklyn from 7th grade to 10th grade. And it was mostly white people. It was like a culture shock for me to go from being around all black people, and I lived in a black neighborhood, then going to a school where it was like all rich white kids, mostly. And so it was definitely like I didn't know what to do or how to act. It just felt really strange to me. And then to hear people talk, because they would say things like, oh, Angela, you're not, they would talk about black people. And then one day somebody said, but you're not like black people anyway. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, I am. And no one would ever come to my neighborhood or come to my house because I lived in Flatbush.
Right.
And they lived in like, Park Slope and
right.
Really big houses. And I felt like this is kind of like you don't want to bring people there because they'll be uncomfortable. It was just a weird situation growing up. And we didn't have any programs like that. I just had my neighborhood at home, which was completely different than where I went to school.
And I think that is a thing that, we grew up being conditioned to think that we could be maybe the special black. You know what I mean? And that's okay to be that
I was
special
offended,
black.
though.
But I mean, most people, some people aren't, though. Some people don't. So now you have a time where these young girls are growing up loving the idea that they are black girls, loving the idea that loving their own ethnicity. And I think that that's the important thing. And then, when you love who you are, you're fine with everybody. You know what I mean? You're fine with everybody. And I think that was kind of the thing that was missing because we had to navigate this thing, this blackness. We had to navigate this for so long, and up until very recently. And I'm not saying that it's over, but, it's a beautiful thing to see, a movie like Black Panther and see all of that representation of all of those incredibly beautiful, strong, warrior, dope women, and just be like, I relate to that Wakanda forever,
Are y'all gonna have the Dora Milaje at the next Black Girls Rock?
Yeah. I can't tell you what we're doing at the next Black Girls Rock.
You know what else I love? For Beverly Bond, who's here talking about Black Girls Rock, you didn't even really like to talk yourself when you first started doing Black Girls Rock.
Shouldn't even talk on the mic.
Yeah,
but
no, I didn't.
Isn't it great to see like the progress? I just like
myself.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm always amazed at it, and I've had relapses. I think I told y'all that before. But
I think it's awesome though because a lot of us do have that fear of doing that, and it's the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. But you're so important to the brand of what.
Well, I think that, and I tried to, like I told you, I tried to lay low. I was like the first year, and me and Premier were DJing, and I was DJing with Premier, so I was just happy about that. And everybody's like, no, you have to talk. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have to talk. Russell says, God bless and good night, and that's all I have to say. But, I grew into this, and I think part of it is, one, being a DJ, I think helped my confidence in a huge way, just being skillful, but then also being a mentor, like having to try to help these girls overcome the things that I knew that they needed to get to their next best self. So I think all of those things helped me. But I'm actually, I'm proud that I can sit here and talk on a microphone.
Do you look back? I'm looking at Ava DuVernay in the book, and it's from her 2015 Black Girls Rock. Do you look back sometimes and be like, wow, look how far she's even come 2 years later?
It's amazing. And like I said, this is all, this was the idea. This was the mission. And so now to house it all in a book, I think people can really kind of get not only just have a understanding of it at all times, but you can keep it forever. So to see Ava, I remember when Ava was saying that when she won Sundance, I don't know if you guys remember this, but she couldn't get a movie budget. You know what I mean? And she's like, when the white dudes would win Sundance, they were out of here.
Right.
And at the time when she won Sundance, it was like just going back to independent films.
Wow.
Now she's the first African-American woman to direct a movie with a $100 million budget.
Yes, absolutely. And we're all going to see Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, yeah, I had a screening for it. I had a daddy-daughter date.
He missed it, though.
Yeah.
He wasn't at it.
He missed it because of the snowstorm.
I'm doing another one Monday. I can't help it. It was a blizzard.
Listen, me and Beverly Bond have a book club for Black Girls Rock, and we missed it because of the blizzard, but
Yes.
we're rescheduling it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's important to us to
I
make
look-
sure that
I look
happens.
Absolutely.
And
forward
how
to reading
else are
this
you
book.
expanding the brand? Because, with the book and with the award show and everything you've been doing, I know you have other things on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, I think our most immediate is we're doing Black Girls Rock Africa. And we've been working on that for a
Ooh.
couple of years. We were supposed to actually do the award show last year, but this year it's going down.
You gonna do it in Africa,
in
South
December.
Africa?
In South, we're
Wakanda.
shooting it in South Africa. Yes, but it's a Pan African award show, and people from Wakanda will absolutely be there.
I'm hyped.
Yeah.
What part? Do you know yet or not yet?
She just told you Wakanda.
No, well, we're gonna shoot in Johannesburg.
Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited about that
Yeah.
as well.
When is Black Girls Rock this
Somebody's
year?
gonna really think Wakanda's a
We
place.
don't
You know
actually
that,
have
That's
the
fine.
date yet.
Okay.
We're working on it.
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll know first, though.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I'll be back for that.
All right, perfect.
Well, thank you for joining us, and I look forward to reading
Thank
your book
you.
and having my daughter read your book.
Yay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Black Girls Rock, owning our magic, rocking our
This is
truth.
a great coffee table book. Like, you can just leave this on your main table in the house.
It's dope because you don't have to read it all at once. It's a nice, like,
Yeah.
let me read this part, let me flip through this. Like, it's not I got to sit down and read the whole book at one time. It's really
Yeah.
like okay, I have a little time, let me flip. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, it's funny because my cousin, he's going through depression, and he was really upset. And Terry Williams is in this book, and she talks about our mental health and how Black people have not. We don't seek help. We try to hold it all in.
Right.
And so I read it to him, and when I read it to him, he just started crying. I was like, oh my God, this book is really going to touch people in so many ways. That's how I was, I'm
We've been talking about that a lot lately. You God has a book out. He was just on here, and he was talking about his son got shot. And like somebody basically picked up his 2-year-old son and used him as a human shield.
Oh my God.
Out on the street, shot him, but he's still alive, but he's suffering, still had a limp and everything, and had to undergo surgery. And he said he never addressed it or talked about it. And one day he just had a breakdown. He ran out in the street in his pajamas, his bathrobe, and he didn't know what was happening. And he actually ended up going into therapy and realizing he had never even addressed the fact or dealt with what happened with his own son.
Wow.
And how powerful therapy can be for people. Charlamagne's in therapy.
Every Friday, 3 o'clock, baby.
He really
Love
is.
Oh, how do you? One last question. How do you pick and choose who y'all wanted in the book, though? Because I'm like, there's some names missing. There's some
I
It's
mean,
the first one.
Maybe
It's the
part two.
first one. You right.
For one, I had to stop. Like literally, my agent, my publisher was like, no more. And there were still people that, if you notice, Taraji's not in the book. Taraji was supposed to be in this book, but her schedule and my deadline just wouldn't work out.
Yeah, I
There's
don't see
definitely gonna
Taraji.
be a
I don't see
part 2.
Tiffany Haddish.
A part 3,
Angela
a
Rye.
part 4,
Yeah,
There's
part 2, part 3,
Angela
part 4.
Rye couldn't work it out in the time.
Got you.
She agreed to be in it, but we just, there's only so
The next one, Charlamagne.
Amanda
Charlamagne?
Seals. Yeah. Listen, Black women ain't going nowhere.
The next one, Charlamagne.
there's thousands, millions of Black women that can be celebrated. And
Word.
Well, and that's the thing, and it's really that, and it's just like with the show, you have to, you cast your net, you try to see who's available, and it has to work out in the time.
And that's why you support this, and then we have another one.
There you
And
go.
we'll have another one.
Absolutely.
And it's out today, so go pick it up. It's out right now.
Damn, this is a crazy time in our universe when you think about it,
Yeah.
Because this book is out today. You got Wrinkle in Time coming out. Like,
Yeah.
this can't be coincidence because y'all been planning all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
crazy.
Well, there you have it. Miss
Yeah.
Beverly Bond, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Envy. Thank you.
And pick up the book.
Charlamagne.
I'm going to get one for my daughter right now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.